guys that we want to see featured more on the show and who have the potential to be show stealers anytime they're on the show. I got to say Miro is still incredibly polarizing in the wrestling community. What were your thoughts on the big announcement? Obviously, I love the beach wedding idea. I think that's going to be freaking awesome. What were your thoughts on this segment? Kip Sabian really getting on the mic quite a bit in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not sold with this pairing. It needs to grow on me more. I'm not excited for it. I mean, I guess I'm excited for the end in sight. So I guess you can have the wedding.
You're not alone. You're not alone on that. I mean, I've found myself having to kind of defend what they're doing with Miro a little bit more than what you see on most of AEW's fans get behind 100% what they're doing.
Right.
There's a lot of fans that are concerned about what they're doing with Miro. So you're not alone on that, SPD.
So the segment had its place. It was nice to see they kind of switched it up, putting Trent in the ambulance and kind of laughing and being the dirty heels that they are. And so that part was pretty cool. But what I'm excited for, the Beach Bash special edition Dynamite will be a lot of fun. We don't know too much about it, but anytime they do kind of a special thing, Fight for the Fallen or whatever it is, it's always going to be a really stacked show, even though all the Dynamites are stacked. But this could be an end. Is this going to be an end in sight of the best man being this kind of like liaison with Kip? Or I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like you can break them apart this soon, but maybe after the wedding you can see a push for Miro in early 2021, which we need to see. It's just so hit or miss with me. It's just so roller coaster. He's these super high moments, and then you don't hear from him, and then it's just like this quick little thing, so I don't know. You need to keep the train going fast. You don't want to slow it down with the momentum with him, and they keep slowing it down. They keep building him up and then slowing him down.
It is odd, right? Because I mean, you and I have talked about the stop start and how that can be worse than starting at all, right? I mean, like what they were doing with Pac and missing him, but with Miro, I kind of like this gradual build of him as a monster. I think that you do have to hold it back a little bit, right? You can't just have him come out there and start decimating everybody left and right, because then you'd start having critics that are saying, well, a former WWE guy is beating everybody on the AEW roster. What does that say about the AEW talent or whatever, right?
So that was Moxley.
True. But I think that Miro, for me, the gamer with the anger, that's working. My biggest, and I actually, I've talked about this with you before. I like Kip Sabian with Miro. I think that Kip plays that annoying little sidekick quite well. But the last thing that AEW needs is another tag team, and they don't need Miro in a tag team with Sabian. I obviously see Trent and Chuck going against the blow off match. It's going to be the best friends against Kip and Miro. But I'm not going to be clamoring for, I don't want to see Miro in a tag team role going forward. I think that Miro is a single superstar. And if you want to keep Miro and Sabian together, great. But Sabian needs to be sort of the mouthpiece, the kind of the guy who gets into trouble and then has Miro get him out of it. I think that if you put Sabian in a role where he runs his mouth and kind of starts problems, we even saw it tonight in this segment. I loved how they trolled the audience, and like you talked about with the ambulance scene. So if we see more out of that, where we see Sabian kind of being the loudmouth who gets into trouble, and then Miro has to be the friend that gets him out of it with his strength and his ability to kick ass, I'm all for it. But I don't want to see these two going forward as a tandem, and I think that AEW's tag team division doesn't need that. So that said, I do think that this is going to lead to a great match, and I do think that Miro is going to be somebody who surprises you in 2021. I think that they're going to push him hard next year. I think that it's been a slow build, and once they unleash the monster, anything is possible.